Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday! This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 4, episode 6, titled and originated by Beer Baron and copied by
That's right.
an NHL team on a tweet, SharanGOALvich. The Devils rookie is for real, man. Is for real. All streaming live on Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Beer Baron, Shorts Guy, and Scotty's having technical difficulties in LA. You know how people in Beverly Hills are, you know, with their internet.
Oh, that California living, just, being lax.
Yeah, you know, it's like, hey, man, I got rich man internet. It's good. And as soon as it's showtime, I get to be notoriously late. That's okay. It's all right. Because the Devils have 3 points, 3 out of 4, going into Tuesday night.
Yeah.
At that dump called MSG against the New York Rangers. But we will talk about SharanGOALvich right now because I'll tell you, he's my surprise guy. This guy came out of nowhere. He wasn't on my radar. Was he on your radar?
He was on our radar. I think we talked about him, a little bit before the season started because what he was doing in the KHL. Do you agree to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I feel like he's kind of picking up where he left off in the KHL, and I'm glad to see that. I think he was saying in a report recently that gave him the confidence that he knew he would be able to finally make that transition to the NHL, and he went in camp with that confidence. And Lindy Ruff saw it, and the rest of the coaching staff, saw it. I mean, it was hard to dismiss what he was doing in the KHL. So, and also it gave him an advantage over a lot of the other guys because unlike a lot of the other players, he was playing in an actual league at, playing hockey. Mm-hmm. So he basically had a preseason where a lot of other people did not. So that definitely benefited.
Yeah, no, definitely agreed. And I was kind of hoping he would come in and do something good. And man, is he? He's doing well. And not only that, but like, yeah, he's as that overtime goal was great. I don't want to discount that, but a lot of when I was listening to the radio feed, I was doing some stuff around the house and driving to the rink, and I was listening to the radio feed, and I felt like I heard his name in the call just over and over and over again. So
Yep.
he seems to be everywhere on the ice. Getting involved in the plays when he's on the ice. Making a difference. And it's when you hear a player's name often, they're involved and that's what you want. So I was very happy to hear that. That's the one thing I noticed, prior to that goal. And unfortunately I didn't get to see it until afterwards because like I said, I was driving,
Beauty.
but scoring with a second left to
Well,
win in overtime.
And let's not forget Damon Severson's pass. That no look.
That was a great pass.
No look pass to SharanGOALvich. And even better, if you look at that whole play, the way it developed. So if you look at that whole play, the way it developed, Boston's really putting pressure on him. SharanGOALvich basically kind of positioned himself right next to Mackenzie Blackwood. And I don't know if he blocked that shot, that last shot attempt, or if Blackwood made the save there. And the puck kind of kicks over to Blackwood's right. SharanGOALvich gets on his horse and just takes off straight up the ice. And to be honest with you, that's where the play really begins because, obviously that's where the play began, but that's where the play begins because then Palmieri makes the smart move of instead of trying to take the puck on his own and rush up the ice, he makes a beautiful bank pass off the boards. Severson reads that pass perfectly, takes the pass under a little bit of pressure, looks over his shoulder, and just beautiful, no look pass to SharanGOALvich, sends him on a breakaway, and SharanGOALvich finishes the play. And I mean, from start to finish, it was absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was, the Devils are looking good. To take 3 points out of 4 from Boston, I don't know if you would have. I don't know how many people preseason prior to Thursday, or even at Puck Drop on Thursday, would have legitimately thought that we could take 3 points out of 4 from Boston. Because if you looked at all the preseason, if you looked at all the preseason rankings, Boston was top of our conference, if not second. Yeah. So, yeah, you know what? I think they've come out well. The first period of Thursday being that exception because that was not good, being outshot 16-4. But only coming out of that period down 1-0, which is a credit to Mackenzie Blackwood, which I have in my notes. I want to talk about. But just to take 3 points out of 4 from Boston this early on, because we looked at the opening of the season and, to as much as I hate the Yankees, to kind of take a phrase from them, murderer's row, is basically what our division is. It's just, I'll take this start, and it just, I just hope that we continue to build. We get a big game on Tuesday against the hated jerks across the river.
Who bounced back in their game, by the way. I hate to say it.
Big time they did.
That's they got smoked in the first one, and they came back and they returned the favor to the Islanders.
Oh yeah, but part of that though is you had a rookie goaltender going in when he wasn't expecting to play. Getting his first NHL shot because Varlamov took one up high. That's one of those things where you really hate to see that happen. And that Cal Clutterbuck better watch out when they're doing a screening drill and he's in front of Varlamov, because I'm sure retribution will be quick and a quick upward motion between the legs, like, hey, thanks, jerk.
Yeah.
Because that's that's what happens.
How you do. Boop.
Yeah. Whoop, okay, we're even now. But, and they were also, I was watching that game. They were talking about, and it's true, Sorokin is coming into the smaller ice sheet, which he's not used to. So that could attribute for some of his poor angles. But, the Rangers came back with a vengeance, and here's hoping that, they cool off between now and then, and that we continue to build, or, just screw it. If we just continue to get better and we just steamroll them, or match them, because we matched Boston. If we can match Boston and play like that, I'm not really afraid of playing anyone in this conference, because Boston is the favorite. If we can play with that type of intensity, and I've got some stats here. Our takeaways were we ruled the takeaways in both games: 12 on Thursday, 6 on Saturday. The penalty kill wasn't bad. We killed off 5 of 7.
Mm-hmm.
One glaring thing: the power play, atrocious, just absolutely.
Yeah.
And 0 for 8.
Yeah, and anybody that's like, oh, get Mark Recchi out of here. Okay, how much time did Mark Recchi have to work? You know what I mean? Like, that drives me crazy. First of all, Mark Recchi has a proven track record. So anybody that's like, oh, he can't run the power play, slow your roll a little bit. Give it some time, because this isn't a traditional season where they had the time to really put these things into place. I agree. I feel like there's so many positives. Yes, it's only 2 games, and let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, a couple of years ago we had a 4-0 start, and then it was like we were jumping up and down, and then all of a sudden it was like womp womp. So I mean, like, yeah, we want to get out of the box the right way, and I feel like they are. But there's a lot of smart things that are going on. Like, for example, Tennyson, and a lot of people are like, Tennyson in a lineup, that's a waste. A veteran presence with Ty Smith. That pairing is so smart. I feel like little things like that this coaching staff is doing. I don't know what the hell they did to Miles Wood. That boy's having a resurgence right now. Miles Wood's having a resurgence.
Literally.
And you just see PK Subban's been looking a lot better this year. 2 games, we get it. 2 games. We're not saying like we're winning the cup or anything like that, but there's just out of those 2 games, like you said, against Boston, against the team that was supposed to be the favorite in our division, they look pretty sound. There's a lot of things that you could point to say, damn, all right, we're looking all right.
Yeah, and you know what I love, and this is a big thing that has been missing from the game, and that this season's schedule will breed a lot of. Miles Wood ran Tuukka Rask at least 4 times on that first game. And within the first 5 minutes on Saturday, he was challenged to a fight, and he stepped out.
I think like the first 30 seconds.
I was being generous with the 5 minutes. Anyway, but you're going to see a lot of that this year, because it's almost like all of these series are almost like mini playoff series. They're going to do at least a set of 2, back to back, within a day or 2. And it's just, it's going to breed that. Well, hey, I remember that. Hey, remember what you did yesterday? Hey, you better keep your head up. And I think it's going to be great. But I also think, just in general for the game, the fact that idea that there's still a somewhat of an enforcement of, you run our goalie, you're going to pay the price. The fact that that's still there, despite the NHL's attempts to try to rid the game of the enforcer, I think is phenomenal. So I was really happy to see that, happen. Not that I want to see any of our guys, get the piss beat out of them, but I'm really happy to see that there's still that enforcer type mentality of like, I'm going to, you can't do that. And that's the game, and that's the players policing themselves, which cannot, and I hope does not go away. But we're going to see a lot of that, I feel like, this season, especially in this conference in particular, because there's so many hated and heated rivalries that are happening in a short amount of time. I mean, I cannot remember the last time that we played the Rangers within the first 3 games. Usually, you don't see the Rangers until January, sometimes late December. January, I think it's been as late as February or March in some seasons, to where we don't see them, because it's like the NHL's tried to build the division stuff towards the end of the season. We're seeing them game 3. I'm happy with that. I'm hoping for nothing but the best. Sorry, Jalen. I hope we just kill you guys. And Sam, I know you're listening somewhere in the background. I really hope before the night is over that you have that fantastic clip, the only good clip from that Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick in it. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just, there was a lot of positives from this 2-game set, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, I do too, and I feel like this team is, They've gotten off to a really good start. I was cringing, hoping they wouldn't go into a shootout again in that second game, because that seems to be our Achilles heel. And you could point to, last year, how many games that they lost in a shootout. That if they would have won those games, the matter of points and blah blah blah, they would have been in that bubble, whatever. And Nasruddin had them playing good and blah 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 blah. Woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of crap. But you also have to look at Jack Hughes is playing exceptionally well in those first two games, right? Controlling the puck, making a lot of perfect passes. Just his defensive game looks like it's taken a step up. His physical presence, he's not getting ragdolled as much as he did last year. Of course, he was 18 and he weighed like 150 pounds soaking wet. Yeah. But in the first two games, he's looked very solid. The only thing that you want to see from Jack is finish, because he's had a few glorious opportunities and he's come so close to just burying the puck. And if he starts to finish, if he starts to put an exclamation point on the end of what he's doing out there, he's going to be one of the most dangerous cats on the ice. And that's what you hope for. And then you look at this line, even that fourth line with my boy Mike McLeod, that fourth line they played pretty damn well, especially that second game. That fourth line, Lindy Ruff kept putting them out there in situational spots. And there was a spot in particular, I think it was on a PK, that McLeod was out there, loses his stick, basically almost, for a good portion of the time that he's out there, fights for the puck, gets up right against the blue line with no stick, and then like soccer kicks the puck out of the zone, and then like rushes back to the bench for a change. I mean, like I'm hoping that this is a trend in what I don't think we're going to win 56 games. Let's not be stupid about it, but I hope this is a trend in.
Lost one.
Yeah, well, I hope we're trending in that direction of like this is where this team is headed. Looks so good right now. I just hope what we're seeing right now is not fool's gold.
Yeah, and time will tell. We're seeing a lot of positives. And that's what you want out of your fourth line. You want your fourth line to go out there and to grind it out and to not give up a goal. That's essentially what the goal of a fourth line is generally, just to go out there and don't let one up. And if you can put one in, that's even better, because you need your top two lines to get some rest. And they're big boys in that fourth line. Oh, they are. They are, and you want them to go out there and do their job, because you want them to kind of match up against that. Some of those better players in the other team, so that your better players are not playing against the other team's better players. So you want your fourth line to go out there and grind it out and to give the other guys a rest, but to make sure that the game stays in check. And they're doing that. And I think they're going, if they're working well together, what I think we're going to see, and finally we were seeing towards the end of last season before the stoppage, but we're going to see for the first time, I feel like this is the first time in years that we've seen almost the same lineup go out 2 games in a row. We're not going to see the shifting of the line. We're not going to see, shifting of lines between periods, or even between, off, taking or in between shifts. They won't be switching the line. So you got to give these lines some time. Some of them are gaining chemistry already. Years past, just as they were gaining chemistry, that fourth line would have been broken up. Someone would have been put on the bench. Someone would have been brought back in. They would have been switched around. We're going to hopefully see less of that, which it looks like we're going to. And I didn't realize this until I was listening to some of the pregame stuff. Lindy Ruff doesn't put his lineup out until like right before game time or warm-ups.
Which I love that. I love that he's kind of got that old school mentality.
Yeah, very, very close to the vest. And, all right, let me not give this up. Yeah, Omar just said, let's say it, Hines sucks big time. Well, our record showed that over the over those seasons. And just his bench management wasn't good, but that's in the past, and we're seeing, I think, a new team. We're seeing hopefully what's going to be the beginning of a lot of positives for us.
So my question to you then is, we have Nico Hischier on the horizon. You have Jasper Bratt on the horizon, and you also have not Volchenkov. Wow, I'm going back in the past.
Yeah, right?
Volchenkov has come back out of retirement.
Yeah, Jim
Vatanen
Fahey is coming too.
Yeah, Vatanen coming back. So my assumption would be either Kokkonen or Kukkonen, right? Kukkonen, either Kukkonen or Bastian or McLeod would step out of the lineup, and then you would insert. Obviously, you would insert Bratt and then Nico. So then you would look at the lines, and I'm looking at the lines. I would want to keep that first line intact with maybe put Bratt on the Hughes SharanGOALvich line, and maybe move, because I know there's a lot of chemistry between Palms and Nico. So maybe move Bratt up to that line or Gusev up to that line, and then I don't know. Like it's going to be interesting, like how they're gonna insert those two. What do you think they're going to do?
Well,
what would make sense?
Yeah, and Matt Jr. was bringing it up in the chat too. What makes sense to me is you're going to have the players that are going to play themselves into staying into the lineup versus the ones that are not, and you want Lindy Ruff to have a hard decision to make. That's when you know you have a real solid bunch of guys, is when Lindy Ruff has to make a hard decision and has to think about it and has to really figure out who's going to have to come out of the lineup. That's a good problem to have. I feel like we haven't had that problem in a while, is that we need to talk about who's not going to go in, which is good. But, Nico and Palms would be good, moving Bratt into there. And, those two guys, as soon as they're healthy and as soon as they're ready to go, they're going into the lineup. That's without a question. And it's really up to those fourth line guys to keep themselves in the lineup. And as much as you hate to see guys sit out, at least we know now that we have those guys there that we can insert into the lineup should something happen or should someone need a break. Because let's face it, it's a compressed schedule. These guys are pro athletes, and this is their livelihood, but they're human beings too. So every now and then they may need an occasional night off.
Yeah.
So we have that backup. It's going to be, good to see, Nico and Bratt come back, and I'm not making the big bucks to say where they're going to go. That's Lindy Ruff's hard decision, but Nico and Palms, I know they have a good history. And I would like to see that history come back. Yes, Sam, you have a question?
I'm waving at Sam.
Yeah, well, I know that you guys are school teachers, so I decided to raise my hand instead of interrupt or fall asleep in class.
Hey, Sam, put yourself on mute, please. Put yourself on mute. Thanks, buddy. Go ahead.
Hey, all right.
Can you turn your TV down, please, in the background?
What are you watching? Turn it off. Whatever you're watching, turn it off. I can see. I can see you.
Please don't be playing video games while we're going through this. Please turn off your screen.
These are real things that we both say, by the way. I can guarantee those are things that you say, and these are definitely 100 things. I've said these.
So Scotty wanted me
back to your chair.
Turn your cameras on,
Scotty.
please.
Scotty wanted me to pass on a message because Scotty's having technical difficulties right now. I'll go zooming into his frozen studio right now. We lost his feed, but he wanted to say that for all those Jack Hughes haters, game one, Jack Hughes had 3 assists out of 4 goals so far this season.
Yeah.
So he said, why the hate? Why the hate? He was actually saying more than that, but yeah, I mean, you know what? You got to give, sometimes Devils fans just like piss me off. You read some of the stuff they say, and it's like, and the same complainers are, either there's like
habitual complainers.
I almost put that bit. I almost put that bit that you did last Thursday's post game about negative Devils fans. I almost wanted to make a 1-minute clip of a public service announcement of the Let's Go Devils podcast about negative fans. I hate negative fans because, like, if I can only record every single negative fan, what they said on Thursday and what they said on Saturday, it's like, oh, Hughes sucks. He can't even do anything. That 14 pounds is nothing. And then Saturday, oh, I told you so. I told you Hughes is going to. I hate that.
That's how it's always going to be, and that's how it's always going to be. I mean, like, listen, and that's for every fan base. I know. I'm sure that, you know, Shorts Guy can attest that there's Red Bull fans out there that do the same thing. I know as Giants fans, we know that there's plenty of Giants fans out there that bash. That's the only thing I never understand. Like, I can understand getting upset with your team. I can understand, like, sometimes being like, come on, bro. Like, this guy he's got to step it up. Like, what is he doing out there? Or, you know, you get annoyed at, like, certain players. But the negativity and the hate towards your own team, where sometimes it sounds like, dude, just why are you even rooting for this team? I don't understand what, you know, like, what is your purpose of even wanting to follow this team if you have just spew negativity at it? I'll never, ever understand that.
You know, that and the, you know, the negative fans that are like, oh, I could have done that. And it's like, no, you probably couldn't have, because if you
you'd be in the NHL if you could.
In that situation, you would have been in the NHL, or you would have been making those free kicks or whatever. You know, there are times to be upset with your team, like if they blow a lead, if they just look like they haven't shown up, like, and I've been beyond aggravated at my teams in the past, at a point where it's ruined whole days and weeks of my life. But that comes out of love for the team, which we all have. And, you know, I think the negativity does come from a point of love for the team, but there are times where it's like, there are some, but it's not just in sports. I mean, there are people that just love to complain, and then that's just their thing in life. They love to go out to a restaurant to find things to complain about, to try to get some kind of a discount off their check. Like, there are just some just negative people, and that's really what it comes down to. Some people are just so negative that they just are. They don't look good. They just look bad.
Remember that little study, unscientific study I did on my Facebook page about the Eagles tanking it, and I put like 3 or 4 posts. And I'm not going to repeat what I said to you guys, but it's like the same people complain about this, complain about that, complain about the ones that said it was all right for tanking, like losing on purpose, or a bunch of losers. But and the ones that are like, oh, the Giants got screwed, you should always win, you know, they seem to be more positive. Like, it's weird. It's all a mindset, right? Some people just like to complain, like I do before a show.
Yeah, I mean, we all complain, we all gripe, we all gripe, or we all vent, right? There's a time and a place, and there's sometimes where you need to get off your chest. Otherwise, you know, you can't be a Captain Positivity walking all around. Otherwise, you're on some kind of drug and you're not sharing with anybody else. But
seriously, share it, please.
Yeah, but the reality, right now. The whole entire world could use a little boost of that. But like the which, by the way, that meme that you sent, I think you sent it in the Facebook, or not in our Facebook group, in our group chat. It's like, so the top of it says the whole world, and it's a picture of the world right now just on fire. And the bottom of it says me. It's Will Ferrell saying F the Rangers. It's like my favorite thing I've seen in such a long time. Because it's so true. It is so true. Like, the whole world is like melting around us. They're talking about horrible things might happen at the thing and this thing. And I'm like, please don't. I'm like, please just, can we just let everything be normal? Everything's melting around us, and all I can think about is, you know, F the Rangers. But anyways, I'm not going to curse on here.
It's true. It's true.
It's true. It is true.
You know what? We are getting into a partial Ranger hate week. I think we need to have an official Ranger hate week for that week in April, from the 13th to the 18th, which all of us had that circled in our calendar.
That's going to be brutal.
But this is a partial Ranger hate week, you know, with the Rangers on Tuesday. I hate the Rangers.
Isn't the one in April, isn't that really close to when they have the trade deadline too? Or is that?
Yeah,
I want to say it's like right near the trade deadline or something like that. man, if the Devils can keep up doing what they're doing, and we get into position where that's like we're coming down to that week, and it's like, man, we're holding on pretty strong. We need these at least 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4 wins to really solidify a spot, and maybe we're in the market for a free agent to put us into the playoffs. God dang, I just what we saw in these first 2 games, like please, to the gods of hockey, don't let that be fool's gold. Please let this be an indication of the maturity of the team, the maturity of where Lindy Ruff is taking them. Because it has been so... Yeah, when SharanGOALvich scored that goal, I screamed so loud, I think I traumatized my children. You know what I mean? Like, just that feeling of like, oh my God, like, yes! Like, hockey is back, and they won. You know what I mean? And it just felt so damn good. It's like, please, inject that into my veins. Keep that going.
I was listening to the radio feed on the app, and I got a text from Kelly like, "You guys won," and I was like, "We won?" And then all of a sudden it came on the radio, and I was like, "Oh, we won!" I was like, "That was," I was like, "Oh, hey, we're a little behind here," but it was great. Let us talk about something that let us talk about something that is good right now. From everything that I've seen in the last 2 games, and that is none other than Mackenzie Blackwood. 62 saves in the first 2 games.
Damn. Woo! When you put it like that, damn.
In the first 2 games, 27 saves on Saturday, allowing only 1, and 35 saves on Thursday. And I hated seeing him get scored on in that shootout to lose. I hated seeing him, that being the difference in the shootout, because the first 2 saves were phenomenal. That first one was just that lengthy, those lanky legs of his stretching to the max to get it. That second one, he followed across all the way for that blocker save. And we looked way too damn cute on those breakaways, on those shootout attempts to do anything. And of course, when the face licker came up, I was like, "That's it. This is it. The face licker is gonna just kill us right now." But anyway, Mackenzie Blackwood, I is looking solid right now. There's been a lot of teams that have put their backups in for game 2. We look like we're going to ride Blackwood. I'm expecting to see him on Tuesday against the Rangers. He is looking like the real deal. I was a little nervous because some of the stuff I saw in the camp games, he didn't look super sharp in some of the things in the camp games, but he has looked phenomenally sharp in the first 2 games, especially in that first period on Thursday. Only allowing 1 on 16 in 20 minutes of hockey. That's a lot of shots for anyone who's not played the position before. That's a hell of a lot of shots to face in 20 minutes. And that's a hell of a lot of movement in front of you. When your team is giving up that many shots, that's about roughly a shot just over every minute. That means that your team doesn't have a lot of possession and you're doing a lot of movement. And he was able to withhold that storm until the very end of that period. It was a solid goal they scored against him. But man, his performance in the first 2 games, I think were awesome. And I'm looking forward to what he can do. And things are pointing towards he's the real deal. I'm not ready to say it fully yet. Because again, it's only 2 games, and we saw a small, subset of his work last year. But this is looking like he is the real deal. Someone said, Matt Junius, will Blackwood play Tuesday? Yes, he will play Tuesday. My guess is they're going to ride him for as long as they can.
Well, especially now, because you have Wedgwood instead of Crawford. If Crawford was there, I think it's a different story.
Yeah, if Crawford was there, it'd be a different story. I think we definitely see him Tuesday. It wouldn't shock me to see him Thursday. Let me bring up the schedule here. Now, I am not the coach, and I am not being paid millions of dollars to see this, but the way that our schedule is working out as of now, Rangers on Tuesday, Islanders on Thursday. Day off in between. So we'll probably see Blackwood both those games. 2 days off before the Islanders, and then it's the Islanders on Sunday, which Sam, we may have to look at our scheduling for next Sunday because we play the Islanders at 7.
We do it live.
Islanders day off, Philly day off, Buffalo back to back. So we will see Wedgwood, probably not this coming week, but I can imagine we'll see Wedgwood once, maybe twice the following week, because our schedule is pretty much the same. It's game day off. Wow. Yeah. So we'll see Wedgwood eventually, and especially on those back to backs. We have 2 weekends in a row with back-to-back, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, so we'll see Wedgwood eventually, probably next week. We probably won't see him this week, but definitely we'll see him at least 1 game next week, if not 2. So that's at least my thought. Unless Blackwood feels like he's good to go and the team is just going to, because sometimes a goalie says I'm good to go, I'm fine, and you trust the goalie because no one knows a goalie's body better than themselves, if they can go or not. It's when you start to see the slowdown from outside that they may not realize or they may be trying to work through. That's when you kind of pull the reins, be like, you need to back off a little bit. You need a day off. But we definitely will see Wedgwood within the next week. Definitely next week.
So my question to you is, you were saying that, taking 16 shots in that first period, is there, throughout both games against Boston, how many of those shots were considered, high quality scoring chances?
You know what? I actually cannot give you an answer, and I'll tell you my 2 reasons. One, because I listened to a lot of Saturday's game, and I didn't actually physically see it. And 2, a lot of Thursday's game, I was talking to Grant Marshall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't tell you how many of them were high quality shots. And I don't even want to make a guess at what they could have been, but even still though, it's like with that 16 shots in the first period, if your team's giving up 16 shots, your team doesn't have a lot of possession.
Yeah.
Which they fixed, by the way. They definitely
and they also addressed it too. Like, it was funny because Miles Wood, in between the first and second period in that second game, they talked about the fight, and he was like, "Oh, I was talking to Travis Zajac before the game, and he said it's probably going to happen like right off the bat," and sure enough, it did. But he also addressed, the fact that they let up 16 shots in that first period in the first game, and he's like, and that was something that we really focused on. And you could see that focus. That the second game, they came out of the gates so much better. They just defensively, they seemed a lot more crisp. And that's also the first game you have to take a lot into account. Not to make excuses too, because they're professionals and they're off the ice training. It's not like they were just sitting on a couch and they're like, "Oh, game tomorrow, guys, let's go. It's the first of the year." But the first game back as a whole team, playing somebody that's not yourselves, playing a lot of new young guys in the lineup. I felt like they held their own, but in the second game, there was times where they had the Bruins on their heels. They were showing their speed. They were showing their youth. There was sometimes where the Bruins pushed back really hard, and the Devils of yesterday or yesteryear would have collapsed. Would have been stuck in their zone for 3 minutes. But they would fall back on their heels and then they'd push back forward. So I credit to the coaching staff of what they're being able to do right now, or whatever they're telling them on the bench or whatever they're doing, or maybe even in the line changes too, like putting out the right line combinations. You said something at the beginning of the show, which I think is a great point. Not for nothing, having consistent lines going in from the first game into the second game, that's huge, because under Coach Hines, it was like not only a different lineup every night, it felt like, but you would be in the middle of the second period and you're like, wait, I thought Zaka was on the second line. Why is he on the third line now? I thought, Hughes was skating with, and it was constantly switching people around. And it's like, how the hell are you going to get chemistry if you keep doing it?
Yeah, no, agreed. I think I said it when we did our post game reaction on Thursday. If I didn't, I'll say it now. I think one of the big things to give this team credit, as young as this team is, especially, they held a very tight 1-0 game going mid to late third period on Thursday. After being shelled first period, they kept that game at 1-0 into the third period until we tied it up. And then when Boston went up, we responded almost immediately. So that right there to me are hallmarks of progress and hallmarks of looking at a team that is not, we've kind of joked and we've talked about it, but it has felt like since 2012, it's been more often than not that a lot of times the Devils have gone into the third period up and within the last 5 minutes have lost games. A lot of games lost in the last 5 minutes, where we've let the team tie it up and then we've lost within the last minute. To see the team hold that 1-0 lead or the 1-0 deficit going into the third and then tying not only once but twice to go to overtime, that to me is a huge step. So that's a positive we can't overlook as well. And especially for a team that's so young and so new. And this is where that veteran presence is going to be big. That veteran coaching skill of Lindy Ruff is going to be huge. And it's going to be a combination of things. And it's, with all hope, you've got a team full of young kids that watched that whole bubble and said, damn, I wish I was there. We were so close. Like knowing that, they could have been one of those bubble teams, the on the bubble teams going into the bubble, where they could have been in that little tournament. And that's the hell of it. When the shutdown happens, we were on the up and up. However, I am pleased with what I've seen so far, and I'll be looking to actually Tuesday night. I can actually sit and watch the game from start to finish. So I'm pretty excited about that because I've got nothing going on Tuesday. So I'm going to be watching that for sure.
I hope to come out strong on Tuesday. And it's like I said before, you don't want it to be like fool's gold, and you want it to be good, right? You want everything to go smoothly. And especially against the Rangers, on Tuesday, I just want the game to be a solid effort. You don't want to see any step backwards. You want to see that progression continuing, right? No matter what happens, win, lose, or draw, you want to see progression. You want to constantly see them moving forward and getting themselves into a position where you're like, all right, you know what? We won. And there was, Jack scored a couple, like Kyle Palmieri finally put one home. You see that progression of the team getting better. My thing about this team is over the last couple of years, it's almost like, you want to believe, but you're so hesitant to fully buy in because, you have that amazing offseason. You draft Jack Hughes, you get PK Subban. We got so pumped and jacked for the beginning of that season. And then, oh my God.
Yay.
And then straight from the grave, he has risen.
Somehow or another. Yeah.
We should just give you the floor for the next 10 minutes and let you just kind of go on a monologue. But anyways, with this team, there's always that fool's gold. Every time you felt like they were turning a corner, something would happen. And you're all right here. Same old crap. And you're like, come on, new chapter. Let's see Lindy Ruff steer this ship into the right direction. What's up, Scotty?
Scotty,
just some technical difficulties here tonight. So why is everyone walking off of a cliff already after game 2?
No. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying at all. This is what happens. Okay. You come in late. You pick up the conversation. And you're what? Yeah.
All right.
No. We're just we're talking about how the last couple seasons have given us hope and then had that hope just snatched away from us so quick. So it's hard to put a lot of stock into what we're seeing. We're hopeful, but we're also wary. We're not jumping off the cliff, but we're wait, we've seen this story before where we've done very well and it's gone to hell.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I mean, any hockey season can go to hell with injuries and everything like that. But I think Devils fans, we should be very, very excited for what we saw over those first 2 games. And I had a bunch of friends hit me up too. They're like, "Burp, Jack Hughes, I'm not doing so well." I'm like, "Are you frigging kidding me?" I don't know if
Dude,
Sam Wu passed
he was
along.
great.
I don't know if Sam Wu passed along my message.
He passed
But the
it.
Devils have
He passed
scored 4 goals. 4 goals. All right. One of them was completely unassisted by Ty Smith. His clink. Or what was that game in Price is Right? Klinko, where it was like right? Yeah. Plinko, Klinko, whatever the hell it is.
Plinko.
You know, every other goal, Jack Hughes has an assist. He's got 3 points in 2 games. Okay, so I know it hasn't gone in yet, but holy hell, is he getting the looks? That
And
shot looks
close.
wicked.
He's getting
It's
so
gonna
close.
as soon as it breaks, it's gonna break big time for him. I am super pumped. And you remember when we were watching the playoffs, the return to play last year, and we saw Quinn Hughes kind of surveying the ice and really taking charge. Like I'm starting to see that from Jack already. Like me and Sam Wu got to talk about on that first goal. I thought Jack Hughes was the end of his shift. I thought he was at the end of his shift when he chipped the puck in, and then lo and behold, he's on the other side of the ice, ready to steal, and get the puck towards the net, and that's how the Devils scored. Miles Wood on that tip. So he's done a great job so far, and just give him a little time. I heard they were playing. Is it just me, or does Boston have a couple good players that he was playing against there? Like, am I wrong? Like, is there a couple of good players on Boston? Like, I don't know.
Part of this, I have no proof that this is even a possibility, but part of this is that it stemmed from Quinn texting Jack from the bubble, going, "Hey, how's your bubble situation going? How's your playoffs going?" Oh wait,
Good.
you're not in
Good.
it.
I like that. I like that. Good.
I like that too, especially coming from brothers. I really hope that Jack saw Quinn in the playoffs and said, "Damn it, I got to be there too," and that was part of what his push was. Which he's a driven guy and he's going to want to be the best because he's been at the top of the game. And that's the thing. Like a lot of these kids, they get drafted, like these highly touted kids, they get drafted and then they go into the elite category of players. And you're either going to step up your game and survive and thrive, or you're not, and you're going to, piddle out. And we've seen that. And I believe Jack has that drive to. Last season was weird. You got to chalk it up to being just that.
Young. He was young.
Being small, being on a team that, let's face it, we
Stunk.
didn't have a lot of help for him. We didn't have a lot of protection for him. But this is a whole different thing. And what my hope that we're seeing is that we're seeing a core forming that will bring us success for not only this season but for years to come, to where we become that perennial team that we were. And that's what we all want. And that's
here. We're seeing it already.
I have a question. I have a question from Twitter.
Okay.
So
from actual Twitter, really?
Yeah, because I'm actually sharing it on Twitter right now, and I'm watching it on Twitter as well.
From what's his name? Dorsey. He's listening right now.
Wait, of course I'm like trying to figure out how this. Oh my God! Come on, Twitter.
Oh boy.
Make this easier for me.
Boy.
So the question was, do you see? I apologize to my friend on Twitter here, who I can't pull up your name right now because I'm.
Spit out the question.
It disappears. Do you see the Devils trading Will Butcher when Vatanen joins the team? That's actually a very good question, because Butcher did not get into the lineup for the first 2 games, and by all accounts, it seemed that Ty Smith pretty much took his spot. Now, I know some people will debate that, But from what I understand, some people will say it was Tennyson that took his spot. Some people will say that no, but like the point being is Will Butcher should have been in the Devils starting lineup, right? Should have been. Holby Baker winner. Should have, would have, could have,
but
he's
didn't
not
pan
showing.
out.
Yeah, not showing enough. Do I want Butcher to be a part of the Devils? Yes. And by the way, it's at J Rothstein12 on Twitter. There you go. But
all right.
Do I expect Butcher to be in the lineup in the next couple of weeks? If he didn't get a fire lit under his ass by not starting in the first 2 games, and he's not in the lineup in the next, I don't know, 1 or 2 games, then there's a problem. Then yeah, maybe you start exploring some trade options, or maybe you ship him to the AHL or the taxi squad to try to motivate him. And if that doesn't work, then you might have to move on from him, and that's just the way it works. But you don't want to
He's going to stay right where he is right now. Someone is going to get put onto the COVID list at some point. Will Butcher is going to get into some games, and like you said, hopefully it lights the old spark under the butt there and gets him going. Because Will Butcher came in. Remember when we won the Will Butcher sweepstakes? It hasn't turned out as well. And if I'm looking at Ty Smith right now, I'd rather have Tennyson in there for the time being until Sammy comes back. I mean, Sammy Vatanen is going to be one hell of a protege for Ty Smith to learn from. Like that's going to be a phenomenal back end pairing. And Sammy should shine in that role as well, playing, not those huge number of minutes. So I'm really looking forward to that. And Tennyson will do his job for the time being. But yeah, Will Butcher, Connor Carrick, they're very similar style players. It's similar to Ty as well. And I'm all about it with us. We've heard about these prospects for years. We talked about this for a while. Let's see them. So far, so good with Ty. Can't complain so far.
I was going to say 2 goals in 2 games. That's pretty damn good. Or a goal and assist. I'm sorry, goal and assist, because Miles Wood got that other one.
Miles Wood got the other one. Yeah,
a goal and assist. But basically, playing up to the billing so far. So
I completely agree. And Scotty, you're right that eventually someone's going to end up on the COVID list. I think this season is going to be a lot different. With the quarantine protocols and everything with the teams, I would have to say, personally, I just don't see how there's going to be a ton of mid-season trades, knowing that there's going to be some kind of a quarantine period you have to go into going to the new team. Mm-hmm. So I just see that as being a massive deterrent unless you absolutely need to make a trade. Plus, I'm also a huge proponent on you want competition in your practice sessions. You want players to push the other players to stay in the lineup, and you want players to have that drive to break into that lineup. Like Scotty, before you came on, we were talking about what's going to happen with, when we get Bratt and Nico back. Well, 2 forwards are going to have to drop. You want Lindy Ruff to have a hard and you want Lindy Ruff to have a very tough decision. Yeah, these are good situations to have. So, Will Butcher may not be in the lineup. That's not always a negative. Maybe they're trying to push him to say, hey, listen, you want to make this lineup? Show us more. It's not always, oh, well, he has a falling out with the coach. You want that competition in your practices to the point where you have more guys than you need good for the lineup, and that you have, more than enough guys that can be in that lineup any given night, because look at all the leagues that have been going on. COVID cases are going to happen, and COVID protocols are going to be put into effect, and guys are going to be out for long periods of time. You want to have someone to step right into that spot. You don't want to have a hole and be stuck having someone that's not going to fill that role properly, or having to drop to something stupid like only 5 defensemen or only 11 forwards. So you want that competition. It's great for everyone. It's great for everyone on the team.
Yeah, and Will Butcher's he's a young kid. Like, I don't, he's still young. He's still growing. in the sense of being an NHL defenseman. So we've always talked about how it takes longer to develop defensively, and maybe this is just what Will Butcher needs right now. And maybe he turns into like that Andy Green, type of defenseman. Maybe he just blossoms a little bit later. But I don't think there's any reason to give up on him yet. I hope, as we talked about, that this pushes him forward. And if you would trade him. Like people might, because he's a young asset. But those are the type of players that Fitz has, told us that he's, on record saying that he wants to keep and have him on the team and, build ourselves around. So, and let's not forget, 2 games so far, so good with Ryan Murray. But
Ryan
he's
Murray's
had a history of injuries. He's had a history of injuries. Yes. Yeah. But I don't think he's ever played a full season ever in his career, so it's good to have a guy like Will Butcher right there. Who's hungry, who's ready to go and step in when it's ready. It's going to happen. One of these guys are going to get sick. I always seen it pop up like for all the NBA games. A couple of them got canceled and stuff like that. It's going to happen with the travel, like going in and out of the airports.
17 of the stars are under COVID quarantine.
Yeah.
Like 17 guys on your roster. So it's going to happen. And with a compressed schedule, you're going to have injuries. I mean, the English Premier League is seeing a huge uptick in muscle injuries from their compressed schedule. So you're with a compressed schedule, and guys are going to need days off too. I said this earlier. I'll say it again. They're not machines. They're human beings. They're going to need a night or two off because this is going to be.
He's a Turbinator.
This is going to be a sprint essentially for 56 games, and guys are going to need days off. So, you want to have someone like Will Butcher to be like, yeah, come on in. You're in the lineup tonight. And when Will Butcher does get into the lineup, that's his opportunity to say, yeah, well, this is
go
what
take someone else out now.
Yeah. Now I'm here. Take someone else out. F you. This is what you've been missing with me not being here. Those are the motivators that being that extra guy, if you're the competitor that you're supposed to be, that's what drives you. If you've never been in that situation to where you've been on a team and you've had to fight for your spot, I mean, naturally as a goalie, it's one of those things you just deal with. It's like, well, you want to get that chance and be like, this is why I should be your starter. And then, hopefully to take it and run and having those guys that can just step in at any point to fill a role, you want that versus not. And we haven't had that in the past. Like let's not just say trade him right now because he's not in the lineup. But first of all, it's 2 games, 1. And 2, I'd rather have extra guys that can step
young guys, extra
moment.
Young guys.
Just extra any guys that can step in at any moment and fill that role versus not and have a deficit and be scrambling and saying, oh, we need going out in the street. You come here, put on some skates. We need you to come on.
Who, me?
All of a sudden, unless they need the e-bug, which I'll gladly step into the role.
Yeah, I think this whole situation is going to breed a lot of opportunity, and this is the time for. I think to rewind before the beginning of the season, there's a lot of people that were asking and begging the Devils to go get Mike Hoffman, to get Pietrangelo, to get this guy and that guy, and at the time, you get sucked up into it, and you're like, yeah, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, all right, yeah, Pietrangelo would make a lot of sense. To add that real veteran, defensive presence that is a proven commodity. Now you look at it and you're like, you know what? I'm really happy that Fitz made the trades that he made and did not go out and blow, half of our salary cap on, a washed up veteran or somebody that's going to come in and be way too overpriced. And he's giving the young guys an opportunity to actually prove themselves, because not only, like you guys said, this is going to give there's somebody might get sick. Hopefully not, knock on wood, because you don't want anybody getting that stuff. But the possibilities of that stuff happening, the possibilities of like Shorts guy saying somebody getting hurt, another thing, knock on wood, hopefully nobody happens like that.
We already got one
you
guy
have-
hurt. Nico's already hurt. So that right there, it's going to
Well,
happen.
yeah. And so and that's a great point because Nico got hurt before the season started. So maybe that gave an opportunity to somebody like Mikey McLeod, right, to come in and finally show that he's capable of being in an NHL lineup. He needs to score a goal though, for crying out loud, dude. Mike, come on, you're killing me over here. I'm sitting here pumping up your tires, and all you're doing is sticking them with knives. You're killing me. But anyways, seriously though, like this is a great opportunity for all these guys that we have in the system that are always like they're a step away. Are they really? All right, cool. Here's your time to prove it. Get right in here, like Ty Smith. I am so happy that he finally is in the lineup. And the first 2 games, I keep saying this, please don't be fool's gold. Please don't be like Ty Smith is like, hey, first 2 games, he looks great, goal and assist, and then
he's not going to goal and assist every game. But
I know, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I don't think they're going to win 56 games. I don't think that he's going to put up 120 points in a 50-game season.
They can't win 56 games. They
already lost one. Yeah. So
well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. 55, whatever. But I mean, like you don't want to see regression. You want to see
I don't think so.
Progression.
I think we've already seen that. I don't know. Just in 2 games, they look like a different team. They look like a different team. They look like different players.
Feels like
it really does. It really feels like
when they won. Look at how happy they were.
Even if they're going to be in some tough games. There's going to be some times, and me and Sam talked about it on the post game. That second period and halfway through the third was tough. The Bruins really took it to them. In that second game, the first period, the Devils came out flying and they were on fire. Mm-hmm. But after that, like I was talking to Sam, I was like, when I was watching the game, I was like, I haven't heard Ryan Murray's name the whole first period. I'm like, that's a good thing, because that means the Devils are really pushing the play into the Boston zone. And then in the second period, started hearing a lot about old Ryan Murray. Yeah, and Severson started. Why? Because we're in the defensive zone a little bit more.
Once you start hearing the defensive names, that's a problem.
But they came back. They took a big roundhouse from a really good veteran team. A perennial winner. They took a big roundhouse there in the second period, and they came back. They didn't go to sleep in the third. They were still like getting jabbed there, but about. I don't remember what Sam. I can't remember. It was around 10 minutes, 9 minutes mark. You could see the momentum really starting to swing back in the Devils' favor because they kept going forward with that fast attacking style that we've heard, previous coaches talk about. But Lindy seems to really have nailed it here so far. I know it's only 2 games, but we're allowed to be excited. But this is the type of team like. Through the Heinz era when they were always talking about that, fast attacking, supportive. This is what I thought we would see. We never got to see that. And I know some of these players are not the same, but still I feel like this is what we've been waiting for. And Jack Hughes to me looks like a different player on the ice. Give the kid a little bit of time. He's already got 3 points in 2 games. All right, that's a pretty good start right there. The goals are gonna come.
Yes,
the goals are gonna come.
I feel like if he scores on Tuesday,
he's just holding out for the Ranger game. That's all, bro.
Just holding it. Exactly. That's exactly right.
2-goal night. I'm calling it now. 2-goal night for Jack Hughes against the Rangers. Please, Jack, help me out here.
but here's his.
Are you going to go to Moneyline and do that?
Yeah, right.
Here's also Jack's motivation. Like he's playing against Capo Caco, so he's going to want to show why he was selected. And he scored the other night. But everyone was scoring on Sorokin the other night.
The Islanders. Oh man, that's troubling there.
They looked hot in the first game. They were duds in the second one. But
well,
what I like
what's his name taking the puck to the neck?
Clavicle. Right to the clavicle.
No. He took it right here, and I've taken those shots. They suck. There's no other way to put it because there's that little you've got your chest protector that comes up only so far, and you're moving, and I don't understand why goalies don't wear danglers, because I went without a dangler for like 2 or 3 skates
I never
this
understood
summer.
that either. I'd be scared. I'd be scared.
I
Man,
went
those
without a
pucks coming
dangler.
in.
I went without a dangler for like 2 or 3 skates this summer when we were able to get the rink, and within like the first skate, I got dinged in the freaking clavicle. I won't play without the dangler. It's really not a big deal. But anyway, going into Tuesday, you have the makings of a lot of, not only, I mean, it's the big rivalry. It's Devils Rangers. That's the big rivalry. But you've got the Kako, the Hughes Kako rivalry, which will hopefully become a big one. The Blackwood Shesterkin rivalry, which will hopefully become a big one, because if both of these goalies pan out the way both teams hope, they'll be like the big time goalies for both of them. Or unless they put Georgiev, go figure. The Rangers have goalies with all these annoying names to say. It's you've got a lot of good things that can come from this game, and good rivalries. And as much as we all hate the Rangers, and we know that the Devils should beat the Rangers every single time they play them, you want that rivalry. You want that hatred between the players. You want that hatred between the fans. Obviously, not to the point of physical harm, but you want those players to dislike each other and to absolutely
mutual disrespect.
You want mutual, yeah. You know that when that schedule comes out, that we all circle those games, and you want your players to circle those games as well and go, I can't stand that freaking guy, and I cannot wait to show him up and show him why I'm better than him, and just it'll show on the scoreboard, it'll show in the stands, it'll show everywhere. I mean, I am looking forward to hopefully return to the glory days where we were like 10-0 against the Rangers for the longest time, where they just could not beat us. And I hope that's the beginning of this. But you know what? You definitely want those games. You want those games to be good, and you want those games to be intense, and you want the rivalry to be intense, and you want to be able, because we all, growing up around here, we all have friends that are Ranger fans. Unfortunately, we all have friends that made poor life decisions. You want to be able to text them after the game and go, how about that game?
Yeah. It's funny because there's Sam popped up. So go ahead, Sam.
Or when we win, you can go to the Devils post-game reaction on the Let's Go Devils podcast with Scotty and I Tuesday night and talk a little smack as we take comments from our
goals. See if he's Jackie.
By the way, Sam, I wanted to remind all of our listeners and all of our viewers to set alerts for the Let's Go Devils podcast on however you follow us, whether it's here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever. Set alerts to see when we go live, because I have a feeling we're going to go live after a lot of games this year with random post-game reaction podcasts like we've done the last 2 games. We did it opening night, and you and Scotty did it on Saturday. So set your alerts to so when we go live, because we also go live with breaking news. We may go live just because we feel like going live and want to just talk about the Devils. Hey, you never know. But just set your alerts so that you see when we go live. This way that you don't miss when we have a special podcast, which is throughout this season. It's going to be, aside from our normal Sunday nights, it'll be random throughout the season. So just set those alerts, follow us on everything, and just always be notified when we're live, because Sam, if I'm not mistaken, we are the most commented and one of the most popular Devils podcasts out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I would like to welcome our good friends from India. We are the number one New Jersey Devils podcast on India's most popular podcast network. I'd like to say the name, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So before I mutilate it, it starts with a J. It's like JIOSAVNN. And I actually checked, and we get about 110 downloads a month from India.
Okay.
Hey,
All right.
you know what? Hockey's for everybody, man. Being a Devils fan is for everybody.
Hotbed of India, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, also the people from the UK, Kenneth reached out to me. We connected. January 30th, we're looking to do a UK day. There's going to be a lot of Devils fans, New Jersey Devils fans, piling in for the post-game podcast after the Buffalo Sabres.
We're going to a UK day.
Yes.
Don't do a bad accent and then piss all of them off and be like,
yeah,
I won't
jerk over here.
I'm going to get it all out now so that I don't do it then.
Yeah.
Duh.
They're sleeping right now. They're sleeping right now.
I have to warn you. I have this problem. I have a problem. Anytime I watch a movie and there's somebody with an accent, or anytime I talk to somebody, I start picking it up, but I don't mean to. So in advance, I want to apologize to anybody that has an accent that I ever have a conversation with. Because if they're from the South, I'm like, yeah, man, I know what you mean. Oh man, and I'm like, what the hell happened to my voice? I went and saw the Johnny. Remember that Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie? I walked out of that movie sounding like Johnny Cash, and I'm like, I'm not trying to do this on purpose. And my wife busts my balls because she has this friend from Texas, and she's like, we used to hang out with this kid, and she's like, we can't hang out with him anymore. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because every time you sound like you're from Texas at the end of the night. You pick up his accent, and you sound like you're from Texas, and he probably thinks you're being an asshole. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It just happens. It's true too. If we're hanging out with people from England, I'm gonna be like, all of a sudden, an English accent is gonna pop out. I'm gonna be like, oh, damn it, I'm sorry.
I think you need an A on your jersey when people overseas or different parts of the country are near you.
No, the A goes on my jersey. So you know, the A is on my jersey.
Oh man. Anyways.
Oh, so you were saying before I interrupted the plug how great we are in India
and the UK.
And Sam, I do believe we're available on a new platform now.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. After 7 months, we are on Amazon Prime Music.
Whoa!
So if you've got Amazon Prime,
I do.
And you've got Amazon.
I do.
Yeah, we all have.
I'm gonna
Amazon
do it right
Prime.
Prime.
Yeah. That you can. You just type in the search engine in Amazon Prime Music. Let's Go Devils podcast.
Let's.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Nothing like lifetime troubleshooting here. Oh man. Wow.
Especially when you've had a few Mad Elves.
This is
brought to you by
This is how to put people on edge right here.
You had 2 Mad Elves thanks to Trogs Independent Brewing.
So subscribe.
There we are. Right there on Amazon.
Hey!
Look at that.
Hey!
Yeah,
right.
Look at that.
Top results too, friend. Top results.
Seriously. Wow. That's rad.
Look at that.
Look at that logo. Look at that logo.
Yeah. It only took about 3 days to make and then 7 weeks to deliver.
I don't know if this will go on your phones. Try typing this in Google. Top Devils podcasts. And guess who shows up?
Hey, we're just patting ourselves on the back right now. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the New Jersey Devils. You know, anytime after a game, you go on Twitter, they're like, "Oh, we got the best." Blah 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 blah. They always pat themselves on the back. So we're just going to copy.
Well, yeah. All right. And by the way, the whole SharanGOALvich thing, I'm pretty sure I tweeted that at the Binghamton Devils because they were like, "Hey, look at this guy scored." I was like, "Yeah." They're like SharanGOALvich, and I was like, "Yeah, more like SharanGOALvich." And it's not like I'm a rocket scientist because that wasn't hard to put together. That wasn't like a nickname that somebody's like, "My God, you call them the White Ghost, and how did you figure that out?" But I'm taking full credit for SharanGOALvich. I will, Shorts Guy, we can start making T-shirts tomorrow because I will self-trademark this. I'll send the letter to myself in the mail.
Do it. Do it.
I took a screenshot to show when I posted it. So guess what? We're gonna do that. And I swear to God, I was gonna save this for my final thought for the night, but we're already at 10:20, so we're getting close to that anyways. I swear to God, please, SharanGOALvich, please keep doing what you're doing, my friend. Just become the next best Devil. Stick around for a long time so I can take that 17 jersey I have hanging in my closet and I can rip that nameplate right off that son of a bitch and throw it in the fire and put that new crisp SharanGOALvich on the back. Let me do that. Could you please do that for me? Yours truly, Beer Baron. Thank you.
Yeah, Beer Baron. Let's come up with a logo for that over the next couple of days, and we'll put it into our store, and we'll get that going.
Boom! Look at that, merchandising. Next, we're gonna have the Let's Go Devils flamethrower. Anyways,
I'm down with that.
Little space ball for you. And me.
So was that your final thought? Was that your final thought?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
All right. Shorts Guy, final thoughts?
Final thoughts? I like where we're going. And damn, if Mackenzie Blackwood doesn't look like the real deal. That's it.
Whew.
Just give a little time to Jack Hughes. I'm telling you, the results are going to start coming in. They're already there. They're already there. And when Nico comes back and he goes down to the second line and Nico goes to the first line,
wait,
Scotty, he's not going to have to play against the Bergerons, Like, it's going to be a little different because they'll be against Nico. And then we'll see. We'll see if Nico even goes to the first line. He might go to I think he will, but that's just my opinion. But just give Jack Hughes a little time.
Can I ask you a question, Scotty? Because
no,
we asked.
No, you can't. No.
Oh, God dang it! That's your final thought, you son of a bitch.
What?
If do you keep Hughes and
SharanGOALvich
together?
Palmieri,
you can move around. I think you could insert Bratt to that line, or maybe even Gusev onto that line.
You have Janssen, Bratt, and Palmieri. Yeah, you can keep SharanGOALvich and Jack Hughes if they're working well together. Why not? I like this. I'd rather keep Palmieri back with Nico and Jesper Bratt because that worked really, really well. So you keep maybe Zaka with Hughes and SharanGOALvich.
Or even Gusev. You put Gusev on that.
The Goose. I'm sorry. Yeah. The Gusev. Put the Goose there. I'm sorry.
You don't break up something that's working. You don't break up something that's working well. That's the last thing you want to do.
How far away is Jack? How far away is Nico from returning?
I don't know if anyone really knows, but
I think he's officially listed as day to day. But yeah, I don't know if any and again in the new NHL, everything's vague. It's like the player's missing an arm and it's an upper body injury or whatever. We're not going to know.
Yeah,
but
hopefully soon, maybe like 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go with the Money Pit. The Money Pit construction estimates take about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah, take about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
He's got to get back to the team. He's got to start skating. Bratt, I would love to see.
He's already back to the team. Nico's here.
I know Nico's here, but he hasn't started skating.
Jesper were waiting for the quarantine and everything. Jesper Bratt was over in Sweden because he couldn't get a work visa because he wasn't signed.
Did he get that visa?
Yeah. He's. I think he's like quarantining. He's got a quarantine for 2 weeks and then come. I think that's the deal or something like that. Or does he? What's that? Yeah, with Sammy. Yeah.
Was overseas
and that's why I don't. Yeah, and that's why I don't think we're going to see a lot of trades with the whole quarantine thing. But that's neither here nor there. But by the way, I looked this up. So the trade deadline happens on April 12th. That's right before
the Ranger series. Yes.
That's right.
Man.
4 games. Mm-hmm.
I hope that series is like ride or die. Like I hope that's like the Devils are still in it, but I hope it's not like, man, they're holding on by a thread. Like, oh damn it, why do we have
No,
to
they'll-
do that?
it's gonna be a competitive series one way or another.
Can we
Yeah, of
sign
course.
Cam Jansen for a 7-day contract starting on the 12th?
Yeah. Just be like, oh my God, Cam
throw
Jansen
him
had a
out
retirement, has just murdered Lafreniere. Somebody's like, that's not how you
that would
pronounce
be
his name, Chip.
That would be fantastic. Sign Cam Jansen for a 7-day contract so we can start playing on the 13th, play those 4 games against the Rangers, and then retire again. Sam, I really hope you have that video somewhere easily accessible of MSG blowing up.
I might.
That's the only good scene in that entire movie. They ruined Godzilla otherwise.
Well, here are my final thoughts. I think the Devils can roll 4 lines. And that 4th line, that energy line, with the AHL Binghamton nearby, there's going to be about 25 guys wanting those 3 spots on that 4th line. So the competition is there. And down the middle, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier when he comes back, Travis Zajac, down the middle is so strong right now. And with the wingers flying and the speed of this team, that 4th line is going to do some – I think they're going to be the X factor, the variable, just like how the crash line was back in 95. We got some big boys on that 4th line. And if they can skate and keep up and have that dog-eat-dog mentality and wanting to stay in that lineup, I think the Devils will be just fine offensively. But give it time because it's only 2 games in. Lindy Ruff has only had him for a certain amount of time than he would normally have in a regular season. So keep that in mind, Devils fans. And also keep in mind, we'll be back after the Devils-Rangers post-game. Live. Till next time, let's go. Oops. Devils!
Hey, Travis Zajac, 6 games away. Travis Zajac, 6 games away from 1,000.
Live.